Very well. This meeting will come to order. Mr. Hastings, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Brady.
Here.
Mr. Dalton.
Here.
Sam.
Here.
Mrs. Gilman.
Here.
Mrs. Howard. Mr. Schneider. Here. Ms. Stevens. Ms. Talarico.
Here.
McCarthy.
Here. I have nothing for my president's report. I'll save that for downstairs. Mrs. Weldon.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So I do have some announcements this evening. I just want to update the board and the public on different things that are happening around the district. This is the time of year where we get ready to submit our preschool plan for next year. Believe it or not, it's already that time, and our director of preschool, Mrs. Kristen Bona, is hard at work on that plan. And I wanted to just inform the board that our current year of preschool, currently we have no one on our waiting list. We have every single general education seat filled that we have, and we of course have open seats for special education students as they turn 3 this year. They will have a space in our preschool, but we are very excited that the plan we developed last year at this time is meeting the needs of our community. And we also want to just put out there that if there are other families or relatives that you know of that have preschool age children, 3 and 4, we encourage you to call and visit our website, click on the registration tab, and please come join our preschool, because we would love to have every single Ocean Township 3 and 4-year-old enrolled in our program. For next year, our plan will be, because we feel like we are meeting the needs of our students, we will not be adding any new classes next year. However, we are going to open up more general education seats in each classroom. So moving from, currently we have 3 special education seats in each room. Next year we are going to propose 2 special education seats in each classroom, which will create 24 additional spaces for preschool students compared with this school year. So once you take all of that into consideration, next school year when our 4-year-olds move up to kindergarten, we will have 184 seats available in preschool. So we will be able to bring on 184 new Spartans next school year with this plan. So we are very excited about that, and we look forward to later in the year having a parent information session, opening up applications, supporting families through that process, and ultimately accepting applications into our 2026-2027 preschool program. Okay. Hard to believe, right?
It is.
All right. In addition, our schools also recently celebrated Week of Respect in a variety of ways, and we also recognized Violence Awareness Week, highlighting the importance of our safety procedures, violence prevention, and the importance of being an upstander. I want to thank the schools and all of the key people in the schools who helped facilitate all of that programming. We also held our first ever Spartan Alumni Association career panel last week. While the board was in Atlantic City, we had our PSAT testing at the high school for our 10th and 11th graders. Our 12th graders had the pleasure of sitting in an assembly with 7 distinguished graduates from Ocean Township High School who came back and served on a panel to talk to the senior class about their journey through Ocean Township High School, their career path after high school, and how they are doing now. It was, from everyone who was there, it was an unbelievable experience for our students. The panel was backed up to lunch, and the students did not run out for lunch. They stayed behind. They came up to the front. They had specific questions for our alumni. So I just want to thank the Spartan Alumni Association. President of that is Mrs. Denise Parlamas, for being so giving to the school district and trying to give back to the students. Mr. Rich Steckon, a graduate of Ocean, really did facilitate this process. That is his chair position on the Alumni Association. And I think that this experience was wonderful for our students, and we hope to do more alumni sharing, mentoring, giving back to our current students. So I think that was a wonderful activity. And thank you to the high school staff that made that happen. We also have a number of Spartans making the news. I don't know if you saw, but our own Leah Starkey has just been crushing records and top top runner in the state. I mean, it's just endless with her. So we certainly will have her at a future meeting to recognize her, but she's had quite a run the last few weeks, and I did want to mention that. We also had a student at the intermediate school, Dean Haberman, who broke that school record as well. You should maybe have seen that on our social media. So we will be recognizing many fall athletes for their achievements at a future meeting, but I did just want to put out a few shout outs for some record breakers. We also have a brand new tradition that we started this past weekend. Our seniors painted their parking spots. I don't know if you saw that on social media.
That was great.
Yeah, but that was a new tradition that was started by this class of 2026. And I want to give them all the credit for proposing the idea, bringing it to me, making a really professional proposal, and then going to the high school and proposing it there, and then getting it up off the ground. I'd like to also thank Mr. Hastings and Mr. Sosa for supporting the students and painting the parking lot, painting numbers on the spots. There's a lot of planning that goes into this behind the scenes. Mr. Todd, Mrs. Kazuba, and Mrs. Hagerman also were instrumental in making that happen. I believe the senior class advisor was a key part of this. So to all who were involved, thank you so much for helping our Spartans create their legacy. And finally, I'd just like to remind everybody, we have a number of great events coming up, and to always, when you have the time, please come out to our school events. We have a TOIS Student Council Halloween dance coming up Thursday night. We have all our Halloween parades coming up this Friday. Preschool parades are at the morning hours, and our elementary parades are in the afternoon. We have a professional development day for our staff next Wednesday, November 5th. No school for students next Wednesday for PD day for staff. And then also schools are closed November 6th and 7th for the NJEA conference. Our OTES multicultural night is is Wednesday, November 12th at 6 p.m. And our elementary conferences are coming up November 18th through the 21st. So some important academic events and also some celebratory events for our students. And that concludes my report for this portion. I will have some recognition when we go downstairs.
Very well. Not that it was a brief report, that was a wonderful report. It was chock full of awesome tidbits. Mr. Hastings, School Business Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to point out a couple of things on our agenda this evening and acknowledge that we have 3 donations that are being accepted on the agenda. We have Jersey Mike's of Oakhurst donating lunch cards to our elementary schools. We have the Turning Point who has donated $10 off cards to the district. And we also have Gianni's of Oakhurst who have given us a large number of free sliced cards that we'll distribute to our students so they can take advantage of a free slice of pizza. The other item I wanted to note that's on the agenda is that we will be approving this evening our annual health and safety checklists for each of our school buildings. Those were reviewed and completed by our Director of Facilities, Mr. Sosa, and the head custodians at each building. As I said, this is an annual inspection that covers a number of items to make sure we're in compliance each year with the rules and regulations as relates to facilities. And once approved by the board, we'll submit a statement of assurance and the individual checklists themselves to the Department of Ed. Thank you.
Appreciate that very much. Public comments. Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. Public comment is not a question and answer session. Specific questions can be directed to the administration. The superintendent's contact information is available downstairs on the dais and also on the district website, and we encourage you to contact her with any questions that you may have. Public participation shall be governed by the following rules. Number 1, each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 5 minutes in duration. Number 2, no participant may speak more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. And number 3, the presiding officer may request any person to leave the meeting when that person does not observe reasonable decorum. Would anyone from the public like to comment on anything at this time? Do we have anyone downstairs, Mike?
President McCarthy, there are no commenters in the auditorium, nor are there any commenters virtually.
Thank you, Mrs. Conway. I appreciate that. Very well, presentation of minutes.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. Presentation of item 7.1 minutes from the work and executive session of October 7th.
Questions, comments, concerns? Very well. Personnel, no discussion. This was discussed in executive session. I'm just gonna take that from Mrs. Duffy, but she's not present currently. Financial management and resource services, Mrs. Dan.
Discussions from 9/1 to 9/9. I know, Mr. Hastings talked about the donations earlier.
Any comments or questions on anything from 9/1 to 9/8, 9/8 or 9/9? Am I missing one? 9/8 for Mr. Hastings. Very well. Instruction, education, and student activities, Mr. Dalton.
Thank you, Ms. McCarthy. Items 10.1 through 10.4, we discussed confidential matters in executive session that we have discussed.
Any comments or questions on 10/1 to 10/4? Policy, Mrs. Gilman.
Thank you, President McCarthy. The board will approve the second reading of revised and/or new policies or regulations as presented.
Comments or questions on any of the policies being presented for a second reading? Old business. Any old business from any members of the board?
I assume this goes under old business. I know Ms. Dan will also want to join us in thanking everyone for allowing us to attend that convention down in Atlantic City, which was very, very informative. Congratulations to our students who had their artwork displayed and the staff that helped them to have that come to fruition. And congratulations to our board member, Jamie Stevens, who isn't with us tonight, but gave an incredible presentation on ChatGPT.
I want to echo what Ms. Stillman just shared. It was a great conference. Actually, I have to gather some things, but I attended some really great things on a board that was working on their structures and some really interesting things like their calendar for the year, they guide them, things like that. At a later date, I'll share all of that because I think that they put some really good things together that they didn't mind sharing. And there's no sense of recreating if there's things that, and it's a district I know very well. And then there was also a really great session that was facilitated by people from New Jersey school boards on Robert's rules, which was actually, they made it entertaining.
Very difficult to do.
They made it entertaining, and they did a great job. One of the facilitators was someone I've been in multiple sessions with governance one and things like that a couple years ago. But overall, it was great. It was great to spend time with folks, to see some of the vendors and ask a lot of questions. So it was, I would say from my experience, it was even better and more informative this year than it had been last year. So.
I also wanted to say that I had a great time. I didn't get to go last year, but so this year I was really excited. And the first class that I went to was an outdoor learning class, which I thought was extremely interesting and gives hope of things I hope that we can do here. And I've been on talking to Ms. Weldon more about what I learned and the grants that I learned about. Another great class I went to talked about just leadership in the middle school. I went with Mrs. McGovern, and they had a lot of great insight and the leadership and the mindset of how to go about that. And then with Gerard, we went to a class about legislation advocacy, which I thought was great. And I think it was really good. And then it was, you know, it takes a lot of effort for board members to be more involved in that. And I think I would like to be more involved in that. And I, you know, as Callie eventually goes to school, I would have more time to help with that. So just great things all around, like Gerard's, like talking to vendors and just being able to be with everyone and seeing everyone not at a board table. So just wanted to share all that.
Thank you, Ms. Stan. Any other old business from any members of the board? Any new business from any members of the board? I do have one piece that I would like to bring to the attention of the board, just to sort of pull consideration for. And I'm purposely bringing this up in the work session because I want to give an opportunity, if the public does have comment, that can happen in our regular session. I believe that we have a major demand on our board and on our district by having a virtual public comment session. I do not think that it is a benefit to this board and to this district to have that. But I'm only one member of the board, although I am currently the board chair. That does not give me any more voting right or anything like that. So I wanted to pull this forward, give an opportunity for deliberation and discussion while we have more time to talk through this. And to see if there's any other desire from any other members of the board to consider removing virtual public comment. And I'll make my case. The reasons are this. We have, as of recent, had comments made inappropriately in virtual chats. And as the board chair, I am responsible, or any board chair who is elected by this board in the future, they are responsible for governing that. And I don't know how I would do that personally. And so now we are in a bit of a conflict where we have a member of our staff who is attempting to govern what is being done in board meetings virtually. That's number one. Number two, I think there is a cost to it, right? So there is an hours and time that is being put on by our staff. I think that we can remove that and not have a need to have those people present monitoring virtual chat and try to create it so it's a set it and forget it presentation. Three, I think that personally, it would encourage more people to be present in the meetings. And four, I think that this would not, I want to make very clear that this question here that I'm asking the board to consider would not remove the recording and presentation of it on YouTube and to the public, right? So you would still be able to observe, but your comments would, what I would hope is that your comments would have to be in person to the board. That's my thoughts. It's one of the things that I wanted to maybe have the board consider before my tenure as president was up, and that's why I'm bringing it up now while we have some extra time. Mr. Dalton.
So I understand all of your concerns. This was a function of the times of COVID, right? And
Great point.
we had virtual meetings. When I came onto the board, I was surprised, having worked in another district and having been on other boards, that we were still doing something that was a COVID era practice. There have been a couple times I've seen comments typed in that you were busy as the chair, and I don't think it is fair to ask an employee to take over the responsibility of the chair to try to moderate. And again, it was a COVID era necessity. Certainly, for those of us that have been involved in boards for a long time, we live stream now. It's not a recording days later. So it has been more open than even 10 years ago, when many boards were doing a recording that got posted 5 days a week later. And some of them were only audio, right? So we still have that opportunity for the board to watch publicly. But I do worry about moderation in that situation, and I don't think it is fair to an employee.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Ms. Talarico.
I have a question because I thought we could hide the chat on Zoom. So if we can hide the chat, because I don't even know how many people log on. Most of the times we can't see it unless we're logged on ourselves. So why don't we just hide the chat?
You would prefer that we just hide the chat and leave public comment?
I would, yes. I mean, we've already taken away second comment. We've already taken away answers to questions by the public. I don't think we should take away the chat. I honestly don't.
Very well. Any other comments?
Yeah, I think if you hide the chat, I think that would manage your concern about the risks that might be posed to you as the chair. But I'd rather have more opportunity for the public to have questions. Who else if they can't make it? So.
Anyone else? Let's go.
This question has come up on the active strand for New Jersey school boards. And I don't know how many of you get that pop-up. It just pops up in my email all the time. So I sometimes follow it. And we seem to be one of the only districts that's still continuing this COVID era practice of having virtual comments. I also like your idea of having more people come in person. We've always made available the email, your email, Ms. Belden's email, Hastings' email if there's a question that can be answered. So I'm not quite sure that doing away with it would be denying the public a chance to comment. I'd like to read more and see what New Jersey school boards, other districts are doing about it as well. And I'll reach out to that chat and see what their thoughts are as well.
Yeah, I'd like to learn more. First time hearing it, so my reaction is I like the virtual. A couple weeks ago, when we had the convention situation, we had over 200 people in there, so we wouldn't have been able to fit people downstairs. So hearing some of the comments, regardless of who's commenting, it was very nice. But I'd like to appreciate your comment about COVID era. I came into this as what I know, so.
Dan,
And are you saying that we can still live stream, people can watch or listen, but they just can't comment virtually, correct?
this board can do whatever they want.
Or, but is that
Yeah.
what you're suggesting?
What I would prefer, yeah, what I would prefer, and that's the only thing, like, I'm always hesitant to post things like this is the chair, right? Because you don't wanna, yeah, but so it's like, to me, make it very clear, if this board says, no, this is a dumb idea, please, feel free, it's a board decision. My desire, if I were to craft it, is yes, it would still be live streamed, you would still be able to watch virtually the exact same way. We would just remove an opportunity for individuals to chat and need to moderate that. We would remove the need of a staff member to moderate verbal virtual comment as opposed to typed comment as well, right? So that would probably be my ultimate desire for that as a board. It's all good.
So how would the public at home let us know that they have a comment if they can't put it in chat?
Yeah, so if what I had just said is that they wouldn't comment virtually.
So
It
there
would
be
remove
no-
virtual comment,
No comment at all.
virtually. The comment would only be public. So people who desire to come here would have. the
There's
ability
so
to
many
come.
families that at this time of the night, they just can't get out here. Like Mr. Sawyer said, I didn't even realize there was 200 people. So we would lose all of those people to be able to interact and see what we're doing and hear all the great things that are happening here. So my vote would be no.
So, and I just want a point of
Yeah.
clarification, I'm not debating or anything, but they would still observe, right? So if the board were to agree to this, my desire is not, and I hope that the public hears this, I hope that everybody hears this. There is zero desire to remove the ability of individuals to watch these meetings live. Zero desire. If anything, I would broadcast it further. It's just to remove the burden on our staff who are not chairs of this meeting and the burden financially on the district of having a staff member monitor that. That would be what I would want to remove. That's it. Public comment, you want to come here, you want to make a comment? Please come. We want to hear what you have to say. And again, just seeing what the board thinks of this as well. We have 2 members not here, so not looking for any action from the board tonight, but I am looking to get the board to think about this and to share their comments. And I'm also purposefully posing this in work. I could have reserved this for new business in regular. I'm purposefully proposing this in work now, so that if someone watching here desires, they'll share their comments with us virtually or in person. Mr. Brady.
I just know coming from personally, having worked in multiple school districts and a family of teachers in multiple school districts, I've not heard of any other district that has virtual comments still. And even my own, during COVID, we didn't have the opportunity. We could maybe chat, but it was just, you show up and it's difficult. It's hard and it is, but I don't know of many other districts that still do this.
Any other comments?
Well, yeah, I'd like to think that we want to lead, so we don't want to follow. I'd like to see the pros and cons and do my own research to see what kind of makes sense considering the public comment's already been limited. So that's my approach to this. So I'm not so concerned about what other districts.
I would have to think more about the comment part, but I do very much think that the text part of the meeting needs to be hidden. I think the wording and things that have been said, especially this year, has been distracting to meetings and has been questionable on what was going on. And I know that I believe that at least the text should be gone.
keyboard warriors, they have the virtual hand option to still comment on that eliminated chats, right? So we can think about all those considerations.
Yeah, yeah, I think we could. Any other comments on this item? All right, while I'm throwing heavy things at the board, I'm gonna throw one more heavy thing at the board. So I apologize, I'm interrupting any potential recess we would have. We have had 2 elections in the past 2 years, and again, just for consideration, I want the board to think about this, I want us to talk about it, right? I want you to consider who's up for election in the next election as I bring this up, right? Me. We have had 2 elections come up where we have had an unopposed ticket. We have had a district that has shrunk. I would like this board to discuss, consider, and possibly rule out shrinking the size of the board and making it a 7-person board instead of a 9-person board. I think that this idea would give us the opportunity to potentially have more competition in elections, maybe to draw more people in, maybe to make us a more efficient board. I want to be clear, I've done 0 research on this. I have not consulted an attorney for the board. I have not even discussed this with anyone else. This is the first time I'm bringing this up because I want to see if there's any appetite from this board for this for consideration. As I think a 9-person board is somewhat exhaustive, reminds me of the Supreme Court, right? And I don't know that we need that size of a board to efficiently run this district. I would like the administration to be able to give some opinion on that conversation too, should the board desire any further consideration, as I haven't even had that conversation with them. And just like the previous concept, I'm bringing it up now in a work session for us to just talk about and maybe potentially discuss further or not, and to give the public the opportunity to weigh in. So I put that out. Comments, questions, consideration, Mrs. Dan.
I would just like to see the precedent of school size, like per capita, to board members and how that relates to us. Like, at one point, did we need a 9-person board, and now unfortunately the numbers are going down to, does it make it better for a 7? I would like data points would just be more what I'd like to say.
Very fair.
That's a good point, but we still are a district of 3,000 students. And that's a lot of responsibility. It's interesting you should bring that up. Down at the convention, Ms. Stevens and I just happened to be talking to someone who lives in Wayside. And when he found out that we were board members, he asked a few questions, he and his friend, and actually I think might have given a card to Ms. Stevens saying that he might be interested. And, you know, he was a young father and wanted to know more about how to get involved with the district. So I don't know if shrinking it or just continuing to try and get more people involved from the community. Maybe doing an informational session and explaining to people, because many of the comments that I often see, there are still people who think we are paid as board members. And unless we live in Florida, that's not true. So I'm not sure if shrinking the board is the right approach. But again, it's time to discuss, and I appreciate you bringing that up. Some sticky points tonight, President McCarthy.
Sometimes it's good to have this conversation. Ms. Talrico.
So how would you do this though? Like,
I have
what
no
would you
idea,
do?
I'm being very frank,
No,
right?
I'm just
Because
trying to picture it conceptually.
I don't think that we should look at the steps until we know if there's an appetite, right? And if we think that it's a good idea as a board, then maybe we should be a 7-person board instead of a 9-person board. The way that I would think that it would happen is, and this is hypothetically, would be next year you dissolve 1 seat, maybe. The following year you dissolve another, right? I know it would be difficult to, I'm just throwing, I understand, we don't wanna have an even number, and I'm just throwing random ideas. We would consult our attorneys, we would ask the attorney, you know, what is the legal way to do it? What do policies say? I'm sure we'd have to probably consult with the county clerk, right? The town clerk and all those things to make sure that everything was done appropriately. But I don't think that we even get to any of those points or have any of those conversations if 8 people on this board looked at me after saying this and say, you're absolutely crazy, we have 0 desire to do that.
It's worth taking a look. It's interesting concept to bring up, isn't it?
I'm not necessarily opposed to what you're saying. I just would like to know more information.
I would say attorney and New Jersey school boards It might be interesting to know how many boards exist. I know I've worked in a district that was a tiny district in Hunterdon County that had a 5-member board. And then another district that is fairly small, but still had a 9-member board, and yet I've seen 7-member boards in moderately sized districts. It might be interesting to look at the data of like, what is in our state? What are the sizes of the district, and what are the legal implications? I understand your points, you know, I mean, every year when it comes time to file, you know, you're wondering, do we have people that are interested in things like that to serve? Because we say this with humor, but we aren't paid, and yet we're required to be trained and give hours of training that in many other elected offices you're not required to do. And I think when we try to persuade people to run for the board, we tell them it's 2 meetings a month, but we know it's more than that. It's more of a commitment, time commitment.
It's a true service.
So it is, it's true, you really have to want to do it for the love of the schools and service. And so some years that's easier than others. So I understand why you're asking the question.
I would love to believe, my ego would love to believe that the reason that we haven't had massive competition the past 2 elections is because we're so happy with the performance of this board and this district, right? But you never know, right? So perhaps it's that, there's not enough demand for these seats, right? So it's
Ms. Weldon, you want to weigh in on this a little bit? No.
Loaded question. Loaded question.
No, but I think it would be interesting to see what the makeup is across the state and if there's any, I'm gonna predict there is no rhyme or reason to towns that have 7 or 9 or 5. But it would be interesting to see if there is any pattern
And those that have
or tie to a.
then receive relationships, like I worked in Hunterdon County K-8, but the high school was a regional district that was comprised of, I think, 13 districts. And their board had like 1 person from this town and 2 people from that town and 1 person from that town. So there's also some other unique, where your husband went to school.
Yep.
There's also some other
Yeah.
unique
Or regionals
situations.
like that, where
Right.
you have representatives from the towns they
that-
serve,
where they
so.
serve. Yeah.
So you might even see a township have 1 seat on a
Right.
larger board.
Right.
Or 2 seats
Depending on the number.
on a regional board. Because it's multiple towns
The probability of,
coming together.
you're losing one vote essentially, so you lose 2 seats to get 1 vote. Majority. It becomes more concentrated, so I guess you can think of it statistically. Having 9, you get 1 extra person, you have to try to sell it. It's an interesting concept.
You have to think of the efficiency of the board as well, right? I think that's another concept that you have to think about. Correct. But, all right, Ms.
I just want to add, just thinking about this, right? I mean, there's coming and going, not everyone can make the meetings and stuff like that. So if we do have a smaller board, it would make it more difficult probably sometimes to have a quorum.
Correct.
Because of people's schedules and stuff like that. That just popped into my head. I just wanted to share that.
It's true.
Well, we have people have other things going on and.
Very well. All right, so I put both those things out there. Any other new business from any members of the board? And just so everybody can think this, we'll probably talk about this again in old business. If there's enough of an appetite when this is brought up in old business, could potentially be an agenda item, there could be action. These are things that could happen, okay?
Just for humor, I want to thank you for the homework.
Always, gotta give it back. Gotta give it back. Any other new business from any members of the board? Very well, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Boom.